Well, hello everyone. It's the last day of the month, which means it's Halloween 2025. Cheers. I wonder how Halloween is going to go this year with ice on the streets. Thankfully we haven't heard about ice in Omaha. Fuck ice. So it turns out that that prompt from FedEx was real, but I didn't recognize the address, and it turns out it's from Fourth Dimension U, Richard, in Poland. So apparently, this is a way to continue to get the records to America for you. That's affordable, but it arrived yesterday. Two items, and I listened to them right away. Both will. One in particular sounds like it definitely will deserve more listens. So that's what I'll talk about before I go this morning. I'm kind of aware of, not kind of, but I'm aware for many years that my cycle, my depression cycle, um, I get a spike in the fall about this time, and realizing that yes, I am feeling it, but it's just something that it's a wave and it comes and it goes. But I'm acknowledging that I feel it. But Richard with Fourth Dimension and Lumberton Trading Company, thank you again for continuing to keep me on your mailing list. You don't have to. But what I'll say, and I'm glad I can say it honestly because I'm just not a good butt kisser, is that Richard, it appears that you're getting better at what you're doing with your labels and what you're putting out is some quality stuff. So I got a CD, a new release CD, and a new release vinyl, and I'll talk about the vinyl first. Extended Network, Albus, brand new release on Fourth Dimension Records. Extended Network is Andrew Fearn, one half of Sleaford Mods. Sleaford Mods is that duo where the main guy is, I guess you could call him a rapper, but he's just spitting knowledge. I get it's one way to put it. He's just talking about stuff with a real attitude. Entertaining, interesting. Apparently, he's saying things that a lot of people can really relate to. This is the guy who obviously makes the tracks and the beats for Sleaford Mods. And this is, what does it say? He says he began producing these ideas during lockdown in 2020. And he intended to call the album, but when, excuse me, he was explaining that when he tried to upload them to TuneCore, the title was refused, regarded as too generic. So he looked up a relatable word and used the word Albus. Interesting. So, also, Richard, nice job on the vinyl. This is beautiful. That's a beautiful blue. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now I gotta say, I like this. It's subtle, understated electronic pulsing tracks, electronica, pulsing, a bit ambient. Nice. You wouldn't make the connection to Sleaford Mods if you only heard that. It's pretty nice. Extended Network. I looked him up and seen that he's put out a whole lot of releases over the years under that name. So this is pretty good. I do things kind of like that, but I can't help but self-refer. When when I listen to this music and music in general anymore, I do self-refer quite a bit to what I do in comparison to what other people are doing. It's good. It's good. Good on you. Good job. Fourth Dimension. Nice artwork. I like this next new release even better. On first listens, these are first impressions, but that's how good the first impressions are. I don't have to wait to tell you that I can recommend both of these. Honestly, the new Michael Cashmore. This is much better than the last thing that I got from Michael Cashmore. The Ninth Circle Beyond the Sun, parts 1 to 10. Don't know what the cover graphic is about. Daddy cat, cat daddy, whatever this thing is. But this is very soundtracky, very cinematic. A real big sound. It does sound like a soundtrack. Orchestral. I mean, he's doing things with keyboards and stuff. Well, this is just my first impression, so I can't remember if there's many real instruments being used to create this orchestral sound. But this is to my ears, much better realized ideas and melodies and settings musically than the last Cashmore album that I received. And I like this. I ended up listening to this pretty much almost all the way through because it just kept flowing. It's one piece, parts 1 through 10. The Ninth Circle Beyond the Sun. I can honestly recommend it. It's good. I also listened back all the way to this because I had mentioned it a while back. Another label that sends me stuff. Discus labels release Shattered Stone by Frost Lake. Yeah, I do really like this. It's at one point it sounded it's gone. There was Pale Saints. There's one track where the guitars in particular, the setting of the song reminded me of a Pale Saints song that I really like, but it doesn't sound like Pale Saints, but just popped as I was listening. I really like Jan's voice. Once again, the words are just kind of gliding by. So what she's singing about really hasn't landed on me, but the atmosphere and the playing and the overall vibe of the recording of Shattered Stone is really good. Really good. Cheers. So it's Halloween, which means nothing to me. You know, when I adopted my kids, their mom was Wiccan witch, and so they invited me into their circle. So I learned it a lot. I learned all about Wicca, which I'm fine with, you know. And if you don't know about it, then you don't know about it. You know, you probably have some misinformation. But I learned about the parallel between pagan holidays and Christian holidays and all that stuff, and the origins of the 31st regarding I believe it's Beltane. I'm out of the loop, so I forget this stuff, you know. But that made sense to me about the portal to the dead and the spirit world being more wide open at this time. That made sense to me. But the way that we generally do Halloween in America with the costumes and stuff, I just don't enjoy it. Haven't for a long time, I know, but I know a lot of my friends do. So, matter of fact, my friend Aaron Gum stopped by last night and left a pumpkin on my front porch. Aaron is really into um, pop culture and stuff like that, which I don't bemoan. That's what he enjoys. I'm glad he enjoys it. So I got a pumpkin. Um, am I gonna like carve it? No. Or am I gonna eat it? No. Just let it sit for a few days. That was nice. So that's what's going on. Um, it's not a Bandcamp Friday, but it's a Friday. So if you value my channel, I'm just putting it out there. You don't have to respond. I did get a sale yesterday, which I appreciate. But if you like my channel and you have some spare change, or you're interested in my music, I've got plenty of it. Go to Bandcamp today and make some purchases. Um, Bandcamp will take their cut like they usually do, which I don't care about. I'll still get some money and you'll get some music, which reminds me of. So I had mentioned Billie Eilish yesterday, and when you say things, the algorithms or the shit that's listening to you all the time on the internet, on the computer, suddenly I'm getting all this Billie Eilish stuff in my feed. So I went ahead and watched one of them because it was about one of her producers. I think his name is Phineas, breaking down one of her big hits, major hits. And as I'm watching him break it down and listening and seeing how I do some of the exact same things that they're doing, interesting, what he talked about was that their idea is, to keep it simple so that you don't confuse the listener. Whereas I, I'm not the opposite, but what I find myself doing in my tracks is layering things to listen to, things to listen for. They were talking about on this Billie Eilish how there is this ghost melody, like it's a thing, and it's like it's a melody that's played that's never um, the vocals never do the melody, but it's in the song and it's part of what you hear that builds the track. I do that all the time, literally. Not all my tracks, but it's what I'm doing is I'm looking for the weave. That's part of what I enjoy about listening to the music that I make is when I'm able to come up with interesting parts that come together and say, "Oh, that works together really nice. That's nice to the ear." Just thought I'd share that's part of what's going on in what I'm making the music and what I'm doing it partially for, not to create a soundtrack for some words, which I can do, and I've done recently with Otis 12, but my main focus is listening back and creating something that's interesting and pleasing. So if you have not listened to my music before, go and listen to it on Bandcamp, and you'll notice that these are pretty consistently interesting tracks. Even if you don't necessarily like the style, there's interesting things going on. So I'll leave the link for my Bandcamp page and the RAF Bandcamp page. I still keep track of RAF sales, which have been non-existent lately, but that money again is split between the surviving members of the band. I don't keep all that money. Okay, folks, sending love to everyone, my family out in California, my friends here near and far. Be safe this Halloween. Have as much fun as you can, but watch your back.